everybody? I mean, kind of get a little light. Jim, I have to tell you something. My boss, who's not from here, stays at the courtyard down the street and says, where am I going to go? So he asks the desk clerk, where's the Tian Wong event? The desk clerk knows where it is. He gets lost driving 2 blocks down here, gets to the crosswalk, says to the crosswalk person, where's the Tian Wong event? All the high school students and the crosswalk person says, oh, it's around the corner down the street. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't know who you are in this part of town. So that's not true bad. So pretty good. Let's all give a hand. Thanks for this evening. I appreciate that. Well, I hope I'm going to explain, I'm going to give you a problem that affects every one of you and affects your current investment. I'm going to give you a legislative solution. I'm going to tell you where our company fits into it. I'm going to tell you how we fit into it. I'm going to tell you our ask and how you can benefit from it. So in 4.5 minutes, I hope you'll follow along with me. So, but I have to figure out how to use this laptop. So how do I do this? I didn't do very well.
Use the clicker.
Oh, the clicker. Well, all right. Well, down arrow. Okay. I did a down arrow. Well, the other clicker. How many clickers are there? That clicker. I didn't get a very good handoff here. Oh, now I had animation in my program, but it's not here. I'm getting gypped out of my. Tian, I'm going to talk to you about this. We have a problem in the United States. Over 70% of the critical minerals that are required for U.S. strategic industry are all controlled, influenced, and imported from China. If that spigot shuts off, what happens to your company and your investment? What happens? It dies. And that's not a false statement. It's very true. And for the U.S. and Canada, that affects our defense industry 95%. Almost 100% of all of our defense industry is completely reliant upon critical minerals that are influenced and controlled by China. It's an amazing statistic. The vulnerabilities are far more than just national security. It involves the subject matter that's on the screen, but it's far more than that. It involves agriculture. You can't make fertilizer in the United States without critical minerals imported from China. What happens to agriculture? What happens to, where do you get milk? You get it from the supermarket. No, you get it from cows. Where do cows eat? They eat on plants on fertilizer. We are part of a solution that I want to introduce to you. If I can figure out how to do this. The U.S. government in the prior administration and the Biden administration is moving forward with government-funded, matched funding incentives for U.S. industry to pivot away from a dependence on Chinese critical minerals to produce them domestic. Domestic, up until just a couple weeks ago, included just the United States and Canada. But that's changed. It now includes, wait a minute. It now includes Australia and the United Kingdom. We understand that. We've pivoted as a company to take advantage of that. And as a company, we are involved with having a partnership with a North American mining company, U.S. mining company. We have a partnership with Canada's largest mining company and mining companies in the UK and Australia. We are going to be a sole source provider for critical minerals to the Department of Defense. We are going to be a sole source or primary supplier to other federal agencies. We are going to be a reseller of critical minerals to strategic industry. We are going to be putting together and establishing a processing plant in Virginia. And we do have a joint venture partnerships in Canada. We are a joint venture partner with 3 mines in Canada. We are a $2.5 to $3 million invested partner with our Canadian partners. We are moving forward as part of a solution that takes advantage of the programs that are afforded by the U.S. government to mitigate the challenge that's provided by being dependent on Chinese critical minerals. We have a plan. We have a plan for how we're going to execute this. It's kind of an image, but those dotted lines and those dots are very important. It says that we, as a U.S. company, have a role with Canadian companies and U.S. companies to not only find critical minerals, deliver the critical minerals, process the critical minerals, and distribute them to strategic industry. We have, and right now we're looking at a 525 acre site in the Commonwealth of Virginia. This is where value comes. Investing in our company, this is where your return on invested capital comes from. All these line items. Each of these could be a M&A activity, each of them by themselves. Each of these is consequential to not only to the defense of the country and strategic industry, but to elevating and providing efficiencies to the private sector. We believe, based upon our own internal analysis, because there is no study of this, the U.S. industry is pivoting away from being dependent on Chinese critical minerals. Therefore, there has been no study. We're very used to this over decades. Looking at the U.S., North America, Canadian, Australian, and UK as the source of critical minerals, no one has done a study of this. There are no KGAR assessments. One has to step back, put on your business hat, and look at what are the potentials, which are extraordinary. This is the top line revenue that we're looking at. If you look on these pictures, this is what goes away when the spigot turns off. This is where our company is focused on providing solutions. On the right is our objectives. We want to mitigate the problem, we want to be part of the solution, and we want to provide a stability to U.S. industry. This is where the revenue on invested capital comes from, the return on your investment. There are a number of options. We have a $120 million ask because it requires us to fulfill a number of things in the use of proceeds that gets us to where we want to go. The last point, because we are forward-leaning as a company, the number 2 person in the Department of Defense invited us in to talk to us about what we're proposing. We're in those discussions now. We're moving forward with Canadian partners and US and UK and Australian partners. We invite you to talk to us about it because this is the future of the private sector in the United States. That's it. Thank you.